Go.
Okay, rolling, and action.
What does it take to be a successful realtor?
It takes a network, so you got to get started somewhere. What you want to do is start to think about how are you going to meet as many people as you possibly can, because at the end of the day, the average person knows 200 people. So if you know 200 people, your network is already at 40,000, and you need to find how are you going to grow that network and how are you going to stay in contact with them, either via phone call. Obviously, face-to-face is the number one way to stay in contact with someone. Then it goes to a phone call or a video call that we use a lot here, and then email, text. But it really comes down to how are you going to build out your network.
What would be your advice for someone who is looking to get into real estate investment in the GTA?
Get started. And how do you do that? Find out, sit down with a mortgage broker first, and we strongly advise for you to sit down with an independent mortgage broker, because what he or she does is work with all the lenders. There's like close to 500 lenders in the GTA and right across the country. So if you work with somebody at the bank, the green bank might not tell you about the red bank or the blue banks. And so by sitting down with an independent mortgage broker, he or she can give you a budget, and it doesn't always just come down to purchase price. You want to look at what the carrying costs are going to be, and then find a place in the GTA, and there's tons available, where the rental income will cover your expenses. You're not looking, in my opinion, in the GTA for something that's going to give you thousands of dollars or $1,000 a month positive cash flow. The GTA is by far one of the safest places to invest in, and the reason being is because we have more people coming in than we have real estate. This is a supply and demand thing. It's not a housing shortage we have here. It's a housing crisis. So as an investor, you could win in that delta.
Why do you think your team is best placed to deliver your business goals?
Well, look, we have 25 realtors here in the GTA, and that cover the GTA. And so each realtor is specific to their geographic location. And so it's tough for a realtor to do business in downtown Toronto and Brampton or Woodbridge. They're two totally different markets. They're two totally different buyers and sellers. The demographic is totally different. And so we like to, here at REC, have our team set up, our realtor team set up, where they are geographically dealing with the micro markets within the GTA, which there's thousands of. Now, a lot of the markets, for example, like a micro market in downtown Toronto, would be Harbourfront and Bay Street. The same realtor can work that area because it's really only a 5 to 6 kilometer radius. But it is tough, as I mentioned, for one realtor to know the macro and the micro market of downtown Toronto and Brampton. Now, the support system that I have as an entrepreneur, I have 10 support staff, and I can tell you that I wouldn't be nowhere. You probably wouldn't even be asking me these questions if it wasn't for my team. They really allow me to handle and worry about some of the ideas that I have, and then they actually go out and execute them. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a realtor, which you're kind of like an entrepreneur as well, get an assistant. That's the first thing that you should be doing, because you need to focus on how are you going to meet more people and do more business with them.
What's your approach to marketing, and what are some of the tactics you use to attract new clients?
So I don't really use tactics. Our approach here at REC and personally for my business is to really just meet as many people as we can. We use our podcast as our marketing arm to meet and get out and get a reach to as many people as we possibly can. And then we also use events. And so we hope that people watch or listen to our podcast. Shameless plug, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel or our podcast platform, go to just search REC Experience. That's kind of your way to get to know us a little bit. And if you're okay with a guy in a sweater or a t-shirt to do business with, great. Maybe we can connect and do business. But if not, then chances are you're not gonna want to do business with me for a long period of time anyways. And so we use our podcast as kind of the macro way to meet with us, get to know us, and then the next stage generally is to have a coffee with me or meet us at an event.
How did you get the opportunity to interview Gary Vee, and how was the experience?
I'll start off with the second question. The experience was better than I could have ever imagined. What you see if you know of Gary Vee, Gary Vaynerchuk, what you see of him on video or hear about him on or hear of him on his podcast, it's exactly like that's who he is. That's probably the most asked question that I get. Like, is he really what he looks like on our phones and YouTube channel? Yes, he is. In fact, after we were done our podcast, he hung out with myself, Clem, Laura, and my business partner Simos for a little bit. Just kind of was shooting the breeze. But you could see his admin staff outside saying, "Okay, Gary, you need to go to this room." And then we hung out in his office at the Vayner office headquarters at Hudson Yards for another like 2-3 hours. Very easygoing people. They didn't even really know that we were there. They just let us hang out, didn't say anything, but you could tell his, like, every 20 minutes of his is scheduled. It's like he was yelling out, "What boardroom am I going to next?" And so what you see is exactly who he is. We're just persistent people here, to answer your first question. Just very, very persistent. I've been in sales and service for 25 years. I know what it takes. It's follow up, and that's exactly what I did with Gary and his team. It took us a little over, I think, about 13 months to get from start to finish to have him on our podcast. And obviously, it was one of the best experiences that I had, and I can speak for my team. They loved it. New York was a fun time.
What's next for Jas Takhar?
What's next for Jas Takhar? Just to meet as many people as I possibly can. I'm hoping to inspire and remove the friction in other people's lives, whatever that might mean. That might mean getting your first investment property and just getting it done is the friction in your life. Maybe buying your first home to live in as a first-time home buyer. That might be the friction. I'm hoping to remove that. It might be wanting to build out a business and your friction is just paying for an assistant or getting help, delegating. I'm very, very lucky. I had to delegate very early in my life because out of necessity. I just really suck at 97% of things. And it's that 3% that I'm building my life around. And so if I can remove the friction in your life, that's what I'm hoping to do. And that's what's next for Jas Takhar.
What's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote by far has to be, and I think you can tell by some of my answers already, is that your net worth is determined by your network. What do I mean by that? The more people that you can meet, the more people that you can bring value to. See, your net worth is always going to be determined by your network because your income is in direct proportion of the value you bring. So if you can bring more value to more people, then your net worth will be taken care of. So your net worth is determined by your network.